Your support system, your way of remaining balanced, your means of keeping yourself in check, your means of keeping yourself intact, that system that keeps you balanced every time you're tilted too far to one side. I have a question for you and that system. Mostly it's surrounded by friends and family, so here we go with it. I'm gonna shoot it to you real straight, and then I want you to give it some thought. Here we go. Are your friends who they say they are? Are your support systems what and who they say they are? Let's talk about it.
Like diamonds, I'm watching how you glow.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy AJ here, coming through your TV screen, your phone screen, your laptop screen, and beyond. Wait for it. Wait for it. How you bloody doing, mate? I love you. Just want to get that out there. No matter who you are, where you're from, what you do, I have love for you. I have a really interesting story also. In the beginning, in the intro, I asked you a question, and there's a reason for that. I've been in a space once where I've had what is supposed to be my support system completely taken the exit and left me in the dark. I'm talking all the way back when I was a child, and a support system was something that was absolutely positively necessary. Never had much of it. If you do, I envy you. I love you, but I envy you. I honestly wish it was something that I had when I was a child, because it was desperately needed. There was people, very few, can count on one hand how much there was, but there was a system there. Majority of the system was held up mostly by myself. I taught myself, I raised myself, I used other people's mistakes as my lesson and lecture. Why did I ask you the question in the beginning is because experiencing that feeling of your support system just disappearing without no kind of legit reason or explanation, it's just not there no more. And then when you fall, expecting to fall back on something that doesn't exist anymore, that feeling is quite traumatic. When I was a child, as you know, if you've watched these videos, my father passed away. I had one person in my life, one friend, and only one friend that I also considered family. Now, in the midst of all of this going on in my life, that person was the one person that stood on solid ground. All my other friends and support system, they fell out of the picture, they disintegrated, they disappeared, and eventually they evaporated. No judgment, because people are like clay. They're here one minute, they're not the next, and they have priorities and better things to do, and I get it. I was naive enough to actually think it wouldn't happen to me. And I'm explaining this to you because I want you to get comfortable enough in a space where you always expect the unexpected. This is my traumatic experience, using it for your knowledge and your gain. People are like clay. They shift and change shapes. They melt away and solidify in a different form. They appear as something that they might not be. That can very well happen to you. My childhood experience went something like this. I was going through a rough time. Teenager, we were about to finish high school. We were supposed to move into what is supposed to be college life. And my best friend at the time, who I also considered my family, we were all gathered around and we were having a conversation as to what we were going to do with our future. My friend in that scenario had not quite made up his mind yet. He didn't honestly know where his life was going to go. Me, on the other hand, I had it all figured out because my scenario forced me to be calculated. And because of that, my future was completely planned out. Might not work out exactly how I planned it, but it was figured out. He didn't have a plan to begin with. And apparently, that pressing conversation was what prompted my support system, the person who I relied on the most to keep me solid. That person completely vanished out of my life in thin air because they were insecure about their own life and where it needed to be. Do you see the dots lining up here? So, you being wise and calculated about your own life causes everyone around you to fall off the radar if they're not matching your energy. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That's actually a good thing. Because then you know the people who are left standing are the people who are meant to be there. The people who are the most solid, the people who think like you, function like you, act like you, the people who have the same priorities like you are the ones left standing. In the middle of that conversation, my best friend at the time looked me dead in the face and said, "Hey, why don't you get out of my life?" For the simple act of asking you, where do you plan to go? Why I'm bringing this up, this series is very telling. Everything AJ is the depiction of what makes me me. All the different moving parts and all the different elements that come together to make my chain of thought what it is. Hear me when I tell you, people are like clay. And because of that, you being who you are need to have an understanding that that is the reality we all live in. And at any moment in time, natural causes or natural reasons or artificial ones, made up ones, people will change on you. But there's a benefit to that, whether you notice it or not. The people who do get eliminated out of your life, the ones who do take the exit, teach you a lesson on the way out. You're probably wondering, what the heck? Yeah, they actually teach you a very valuable lesson on the way out. Always be prepared. And if you're not, well, you're going to find yourself now in a back and forth between how you want to feel, how you should feel, and how you actually feel. That scenario is nothing but a distraction. You see, a lot of times I meet people and I have friends and family and I'm surrounded by a very small group of people, and that is intentional because a lot of times it is the very same persons you are surrounded by is the reason why you are stuck. Again, not saying that they're bad people or that's a bad thing. That just might be a reality. And nothing is wrong with that. But from my experience, eliminating the smoke and the ones who do take the exit is actually a good thing. One of the things I've learned is that in order for you to grow, change is necessary. And in order for change to happen, failure is required. So when your friendships fail, when your relationships fail, when the interactions between you and your support systems fail, that's where the change comes in. And that's how you grow. Starting to make sense? Tell me it's starting to make sense. This was a very painful moment for me when it happened, but then I thought about it as I grew older and I got wiser and realized that it was the smarter thing for him to do. It's like, maybe if, I keep thinking that maybe if that wasn't the scenario and he still actually was a friend in my life, maybe I would have turned out to be a different person. Because back then in Jamaica, I was heavily surrounded by a lot of negative people, whether it's drugs, violence, crime. That's the sort of thing I was constantly around, surrounded by, seeing all the time. My mother was my anchor through all of that. She tried to teach me certain things and guide me on certain paths. And one of the things she said to me when I came home that day, after that scenario happened, she said to me, "You need to learn how to leave well enough alone." So basically, I need to accept the fact that life is just life. It is what it is. And everything happens for a reason. At the time when we had that conversation, I didn't quite understood what it meant. My mother is insanely wise, but her wisdom, when she passes it on to me, it has a timestamp attached to it. And I mean that it doesn't actually resonate until the time comes for it to actually resonate. And it's because of her. She was my support system then, and she still is now. It's because of her multiple different advice for different scenarios that helped me groom into the person I am today. In that moment, I felt hurt when my very best friend randomly walked out of my life because they were insecure about their own. But at the same time, it made me stronger. It made me wiser. It made me smarter. And like I said, they teach you a lesson on the way out. It made me prepared. I'm hoping you can be that well prepared because, as I said before, people are like clay. They change like the weather. The support system you have today might not be that support system tomorrow. And you need to be prepared for that. Oh, it hurt when it happened to me. I'm hoping it doesn't bother you because you'll be prepared for it. With that being said, it's your boy AJ. And I'm not signing out. I love you. I just want to let you know that. Now I'm signing out.